The phone call that ended my marriage and exposed a crime I never saw coming. What if the bank called and told you your wife was sitting across from a man who looked exactly like you? Same face, same name, same signature, trying to walk out with $42,000 of your money. That phone call didn't just end my marriage. It exposed something far darker than cheating. Welcome back to the Justice Vault, where real betrayal meets real consequences, and every story uncovers the truth most people never see coming. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. You're going to want to stay for this one, because tonight's story isn't about an affair. It's about planning. And once you understand the difference, you'll never look at small questions the same way again. The call that changed everything. My name is Darius Cole. I was in Cleveland, a procurement fraud conference of all things, eating a rubbery turkey club at a hotel bar when my phone lit up with a Baltimore number I didn't recognize. I almost ignored it. Thank God I didn't. Mr. Cole, this is Shanice from Harbor Trust. Your wife is here with a man who looks exactly like you. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because the brain buys itself half a second by pretending it misheard. She repeated it, slower. My wife, Nia, was at the downtown branch, sitting with a man holding my ID, who knew my birthday, my first car, my signature, trying to withdraw $42,000 from our joint savings. Shanice only called because something felt off. He looks like you, she said, but not in the way cousins look alike. That's when my chair scraped the floor and every head in the bar turned. The investigator in me took over. I work in contract compliance for the city of Baltimore. My entire career is spotting patterns that smell wrong before money walks out the door. But that moment, I wasn't an investigator. I was just a husband watching his life tip sideways. I told Shanice to stall them, offer coffee, run a system error, anything. Then I called Baltimore PD and gave them my account number from memory before my hands could start shaking. Quick pause. If this story is already pulling you in, do me a favor and hit that like button. It tells the algorithm to push these real-life stories to more people who need to hear them. Now back to it. The text that confirmed everything in the rideshare to the airport, I texted Nia. Everything okay? 1 minute later. Yes. Why? That word. Why? Sat on my screen like a thumb pressed against my chest. Nia wasn't a short texter. She used periods. She corrected spelling. But that day, she answered like someone standing in a hallway with one ear listening for footsteps. By the time my plane landed at BWI, I wasn't hoping anymore. I was collecting evidence. The man with my face at the police station, Detective Waller, slid an evidence bag across the table. A driver's license. My name. My birthday. My address. But the face? Another man. Same skin tone. Same jawline. Even the same notch in the left eyebrow. I got jumping offense in 7th grade. His name was Curtis Vale. 43. Prince George's County. Prior forgery charges. In his duffel bag, they found my utility bills, my city salary records, photos lifted from Nia's social media, and a yellow legal pad full of handwritten notes. Darius walks on the outside edge of his right foot. Signs fast. Shortens Cole. Says appreciate you to service staff. Somebody had been studying me like a role. And it gets worse. The bank teller overheard Nia coaching him in real time. Telling him to keep his left hand on the counter. Telling him to mention the Cleveland conference if anyone made small talk. This wasn't an affair. This was a production. How's the confrontation? When I got home, the porch light was on. Nia was sitting at the kitchen table in my old Morgan State hoodie, like comfort could still be borrowed from the man she was trying to erase. My Aunt Rochelle was already there. Translation? Nia had started building her witness list before I even walked in. She opened her mouth before I took off my coat. It's not what it looks like. I put my keys in the bowl. Slow. Neat. I needed one thing in that room to happen cleanly. Then tell me what it is. She cried fast. Almost professionally. Some people cry because they break. Some cry because tears buy time. I'd never known which one she was. Until that night. She blamed me. You're never here. You live in this house like a guest with a paycheck. That might have hurt me 6 months earlier. But that night, it landed next to a federal crime. If you were lonely, you could have said lonely. If you wanted out, you could have said leave. What you don't get to call this is a relationship issue. The pattern was always there. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the basement between an old Philco radio and a stack of manuals, building a timeline like a case file. Then I remembered something small. 2 months earlier, Nia had asked me to sign a blank notepad page to test pens for holiday cards. I laughed at the time. Now, it felt like rehearsal. Then more pieces clicked. Strange cash withdrawals, a storage unit I didn't recognize, church meetings that smelled like hotel lotion, not fellowship coffee, and a comment from my 12-year-old daughter Samara 3 weeks earlier. Mama keeps asking how long your trips are before you even tell us where you're going. My daughter had noticed before I did. The storage unit that sealed her fate, a charge I flagged, led detectives to a climate-controlled storage unit in Glen Burnie, rented under Nia's work email. Inside, 2 packed suitcases, a fireproof document box, 2 blank passports, travel printouts to Belize, and brand new linen outfits she had never worn around me. She later claimed the unit proved she was confused, not committed. People don't buy matching luggage in confusion. My lawyer leaned back when she read the inventory and said, "Your wife isn't impulsive. That matters in court." Broken heart, the truth. Curtis confessed. Curtis flipped fast. Men like him always do. He admitted he and Nia had been involved for 7 months. They met at a happy hour in Colombia. He noticed the resemblance to me first. She joked about it first. That detail haunted me more than the affair, the idea that the opening line of my humiliation was laughter. He said Nia kept enlarging the plan. She fed him. My travel calendar, old college IDs, anniversary photos, even secret recordings of me on the phone. So he could mimic my voice. She bought him a dental mold kit to slightly change his smile. Corrected the way he folded his coat. Told him to say my name with contempt because contempt made the story easier to tell herself. That's when I understood something terrifying. People don't just betray you. They rehearse a smaller version of you first, one they can step over. The courtroom reckoning. Nia's lawyer painted her as a confused woman manipulated by Curtis. My attorney, Felicia Grant, dismantled it piece by piece. Not loudly, just thoroughly. Travel bookings, coaching at the bank, the voice recordings, the storage unit, the fake passports. When the judge's face shifted from human to official, I knew the performance was over. When asked to make a statement, I told the court, my wife didn't just commit adultery. She converted familiarity into a weapon. She used my routines, my trust, my role as provider, to design a fraud that would have damaged our daughter's future as much as mine. Then I added something that surprised even me. I wasn't a perfect husband. I was tired, distracted. But disappointment is not duress, and loneliness is not a license. Nia got probation, restitution, and a felony record. Curtis got prison time. I kept the house, primary custody of Samara, and the larger share of protected assets. What karma actually looks like. People love to call this karma, like the universe keeps neat books. It doesn't. Consequences came in receipts, in court fees, in awkward school events, in my daughter learning to read adult faces for weather before speaking. Cheating stories sound exciting from far away. Up close, they're exhausting, administrative, expensive. Nobody glamorizes that part. The lesson that cost me everything. If you ask where this really started, not at the bank, not even at the affair. It started the moment silence became normal in my house. When routine started dressing up as stability. When loneliness went underground instead of being named. But let me be clear about the other half. What ended us was choice. Her choices. Repeated. Documented. Deliberate. I can own my distance. Without carrying her deceit. That distinction gave me my spine back. The real red flags, the biggest red flags, aren't romantic. They're practical. It wasn't just the secret meetings. It was the questions about my travel schedule, the blank signature page, the sudden interest in my cologne, the way she coached another man on how to stand at a bank counter, like her husband. When someone starts collecting pieces of your life instead of sharing one with you, that's not curiosity. That's a boundary test. And by the time you notice, they've already built the suit. Before you go, if this story hit you the way it hit me writing it, backhand index pointing right, subscribe to the Justice Vault. Backhand index pointing right, like this video. Backhand index pointing right, share it with someone who needs to hear it, because the next person reading the warning signs in their own life might be saved by one click. Drop a comment below. What would you have done when the truth hit the kitchen table? This is the Justice Vault, where silence speaks and the truth always finds the door. Locked. See you in the next story.